All right, so welcome back. It's Amanda here with you for the final day of the Metabolism Reset Challenge. So excited to build on the foundation that we've set in day 1 and day 2 and really provide more insight into how to get your metabolism roaring again and ignite that for you. All right, so again, if you're joining live, type Team Live. And if you're joining the replay, Team Replay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to build upon concepts, right? Like stepping stones, right? Everything that we do with our nutrition, with our health should be in steps. So that's how we're building our house. We're rebuilding our house because the metabolism that we have currently isn't optimal. And so it's not supporting our needs, right? So what we're doing is we're building that foundation. On day 1, we talked about in order to build the foundation, we need to focus on our required care, right? So these are things that are going to dial down the stress in your life and that you're putting on your body and make it more manageable. We know that stress is never going to go away completely, but we want to create an environment in our body where we can be more resilient to stress. So that's super important. And I don't call those things self-care. I call them required care. So those are 4 little tips that I gave you. And of course, that the list is extensive. It's something that we really dial down in and talk about in depth of ways you can support your body and support your mind and your spirit as well inside our Nail It with Nutrition course coming up very soon. But remember, it's required care because nutrition isn't self-care. All right. It is our human right, our human basic right, and it's something we need each and every day to thrive. So we need to kind of change our mindset around that. Number 2, we talked about after building the foundation, can we put up the walls to our house, right, to offer more support? And one of the things that we need to do in doing that is make sure that we include the carbohydrates at every meal because they are an essential, very critical, very important, I cannot stress enough, macronutrient that we all fear. And so we have to eat them more freely. We have to be more open to a variety of carbohydrates. And really, if we're having a hard time digesting those, really choosing those simple carbs to help rev up our metabolism and nourish our body. The third thing that we're going to talk about tonight is actually, now that we have the foundation, we have the walls, we're going to put the windows in. We're going to put the windows in. All right. So, and if you can think about the importance that a window has in a home, think about the crazy weather. Like if you're in the Midwest or even like living in Northeast Ohio, particularly we always joke here in Ohio, in our area, like literally the weather can change like at the snap of the finger. And there's there could be like lots of precipitation outside. It could be, raining or sleeting. And then the next day it could be like 70 and sunny, right? So it's very unpredictable, but we have to be ready for anything here in Ohio. So that's really what you think about your home. The windows are absolutely essential. You have to be ready to protect yourself from all of the noise and all of the things that are going on outside in the environment. And that environment is really like our life environment, those external stressors, right? Things that we may not have a lot of control over, right? Things that happen to us, right? We have to kind of protect ourselves. No matter what is going on the weather outside, we want to protect the goods in our home, right? The windows are doing just that. They're protecting our house. They're preserving our valuables on the inside. They're keeping the temperature stable inside the home where it needs to be, right? Nice and cozy and warm. This is where your metabolism is. This is where the energy is in the cell, in the mitochondria is the middle of the cell. That's your energy burning, right? That's happening in your body. So again, the analogy is we're building a house as we're rebuilding our body, rebuilding our metabolism, and we're protecting ourselves so that we can do a better job at fueling our bodies and reaching optimal health. All right. So What are the walls, or what are the windows? What are the windows? Well, the windows are really essentially blood sugar control, because blood sugar control is one of the pillars to metabolism and healthy weight loss. It's one of the pillars, right? And I share actually the big 3 pillars that we need to focus on for achieving and maintaining healthy weight loss in the Nail It Nutrition course. And one of the things that I know that I talk to a lot of my clients about is pairing foods. So how we achieve good blood sugar control is actually pairing your carbohydrates and your proteins together. Now, a lot of you mentioned yesterday at the training, you thought I was going to talk about protein when I actually talked about carbohydrate, right? We need both. We need both carbs and protein for good blood sugar control. There is a huge misconception out there that if we omit carbohydrates, we will have better blood sugar control, therefore we will have better insulin. And we won't end up in a state of like prediabetes or, diabetic state, especially if that runs in our family and we're genetically predisposed to that. But what we're missing is the role that all 3 macronutrients play in insulin stabilization in the body, fat included, because sugar and fat compete to get into the cell. So the reason why you have an elevated blood insulin level is because it is actually sitting in the blood and it can't get into the cell. So when we look at the macronutrients, they're all super duper important. And when we can pair carbohydrates and proteins together, we know that we have better balance at the meal. I was telling a client today, we were talking about the 3 macronutrients and how to balance her blood sugars, that, I'm not so particularly worried about fat, because fat's in a lot of things. It's pretty much going to be there, right? It's going to be there in some way, shape, or form, because there's a lot of combination foods. So if we can focus on carbs and protein, we know that fat is probably going to be there. So it doesn't make it less important, but we just have to think about that, all right? So, and because you all guessed protein yesterday, I also want to express how important it actually is to hold carbohydrates and proteins of equal value. Because a lot of people have been contacting me saying, gosh, Amanda, there's so much information out there on the net, on social media. You hear people talk about it in podcasts, fitness gurus, different people talking about pushing protein. We have to look at whole body nutrition. This is super critical for you to realize that when we hold one macronutrient or one food on a pedestal, we automatically think, again, that one thing is going to be the ticket to fixing all our problems, right? That's the magic ticket to youth and metabolism and all these things we want to achieve. We know that's not true. It's things working in synergy, things working together, things working in a timely manner, in a timely fashion, doing things that are aligned with our particular body and our particular needs. And we can't just only focus on protein and forget about everything else that's going on. We have to learn to balance our plate. And that is really where all the magic starts to happen for my clients, and how they see success is they're focusing on the big picture, where everyone else is keyed in to all these little things. And honestly, those things really mean very little alone. And when you consider them, what they can do together with all their partners, right? And helpers in the body, that's the magic. That's where things start to happen. All right. So carbs, proteins, fats, right? It's all important. But what happens is that protein slows down how fast sugar is regulated in our system. It's a great way to stabilize that meal, for you to slow down the process of sugar digestion. So when we're pairing things together, we want to focus on things like, just for instance, like eggs, bread or fruit, or, like an egg bake, maybe with potatoes inside of fruit, things like that, right? Like those combos, cottage cheese and fruit. You have the protein in the cottage cheese, you have the milk sugar, the naturally occurring milk sugar in cottage cheese because it's a dairy, and you also have, fruit. You're gonna laugh at this one, and I don't particularly eat liver, but this is a great example. Liver, rice, and maybe like a side salad with some berries, fresh berries, right? Because you have a really bioavailable protein in liver with so many amazing B vitamins that are really great for our reproductive hormones. And then you have rice, and then you have a salad with some berries, simple sugars, loadable complex sugars. That is just, we're pairing, we're bringing things together. And that's what's going to provide that blood sugar control. When I see clients that are doing snacks that are just like, let me grab like 4 almonds, and that's what they're having as a snack. That's not a snack. That is like, you're like nibbling. All right. That's like eating like a bird. Like someone said to me, that their aunt saw them over the holidays and was like, oh, you eat like a bird. You don't need to lose weight. Well, it's like the reason why we can't lose weight is because we are eating like a bird, right? It takes food to burn food. All right. So remember that. Remember that's so critically important. So regulating blood sugar. I'm going to take this a little step further, because this is such a key pillar to healthy metabolism. I want you to create this awareness. All right, so we talked about adding the carbohydrates. Here's what happens when we don't get enough carbohydrates and we are under eating and we're over exercising. This is relative to carbs and protein storage and how these work synergistically, and what I'm really talking about when I talk about blood sugar regulation. So say you're going to the gym, right? You're not eating to fuel your body. You're working out. Your body is starting to get stressed. Well, when you don't have enough sugar on board in order to fuel that workout, the body's going to get it from somewhere, and it's going to get it from where it's storing it, in the liver or in the muscles. That's a secondary source of fuel. Okay, so if we don't have enough that we're eating, we're going to actually pull upon the reserves. Remember, the body's smart, always has a plan, A, B, and C, and D, right? Now, this is crazy because you are spending so much time and energy going to the gym, working out, you have your Apple Watch and you're counting all your steps every day and you're doing all of these things. But if you're not fueling your body properly, what you're doing in the gym and how many steps that you get and how much sleep and all, it really matters little. Because what happens is you're going to the gym to build lean muscle mass, because we know that lean muscle mass is more efficient metabolically, right? It's going to burn more calories than fat, all right? So, but if we're not getting enough carbohydrates to fuel our muscle, we're actually taking the muscle, the energy out of the muscle that we're trying to like put back in. Where's the disconnect here, right? We're not working with the body, we're working against the body. And then people come to me and say, Amanda, I'm not making progress. Well, we're not eating enough. We're not truly fueling our body. So if we can make sure that we have carbohydrates and proteins, we can take care of that whole situation right there, right? And we can accomplish what we want to in the gym, and we can have outcomes, and we can feel good, and we can have energy, and things start to flow, right? And then things don't become as hard, and we don't see nutrition as something that is impossible. We see nutrition as something that's fun and something that can be definitely achieved. The problem is that we're so worried about doing the wrong thing. We're so worried about carbs being bad or only focusing on protein that we're not looking at the big picture, right? And so we have to look at the big picture. When you build a house, you look at every detail. You look at every floor. You set the foundation. If you have a basement, you want to make sure that that basement's secure. Water's not going to come in. Mold's not going to grow, right? That there's good air circulation, that you don't have, accumulation of different things happening in that environment on the next level, right? That, the windows are installed, that things are secure on the 3rd level. We don't want anyone falling out. Think about that with your body, right? Think about that with your body. All right, so we know we need carbohydrates. So I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to not only include carbohydrates, but also include protein. And I want you to pair them together at each sitting, whether it's a snack or whether it's a main meal. And I want you to think about doing that instead of just grabbing one thing and going. Be more mindful, be more aware that you need those things in order to set the foundation to start to heal your body. All right. Now let's recap a little bit. Remember that the reason that your metabolism becomes impaired is because of something that happened to you or something that you created. All right. One of 2 pathways. All right. And to help you get your metabolic rate out of the toilet, there are some foundational things that we need to do. And we talked about that. Food variety will feed the gut microbiome and gut environment. We need sleep and rest and repair to handle the stress, from our life that we're putting on our body. Hydration for the cells to function. Being more mindful of eating frequently, right? And bridging of the latter, eating more frequently, is one of the reasons why we're doing this, right? We want to be more fueled throughout the day. That also, helps good blood sugar control. So the only thing that pairing carbohydrates and protein isn't the only thing that will give you good blood sugar control. Keeping good pace with your meals will as well, because you don't want to go too long or your blood sugar is going to bottom out, right? Something we really, really, really talk about in depth and nail it. All right. So we want you to have that stability. Blood sugar control helps you metabolically. It helps you feel way better, right? Because your blood sugars aren't bottoming out, right? If you can think of this analogy when you think of metabolism, the biggest takeaway here, think about building a bonfire. You're out camping with your family. You're going to build a bonfire. It's getting like super cold, right? It's super dark out. And you really want to build up this fire. So you gather a bunch of wood, right? I want you to think of the fire like being your metabolism. The more wood that you put on the fire, i.e. the more food or the more nourishment, quality nourishment, intentional nourishment that you add to the fire, the bigger the fire can be. All right. You can increase your food so that your metabolic rate is higher, right? You're burning at a higher rate. If you take away the wood or you take away the food, you will slow your metabolic rate. So remember that when you undereat, your fire is really low. Your fire is going to be real minimal, right? But when you're eating, you have to actually fuel the fire, right? And you can increase your resting metabolic rate. You can get things revving up again. You can have that weight loss that you've always achieved, but you can't have it when you're in a state of deprivation and when you are doing restrictive, chronic diets. It's not going to get you to where you want to be, all right? So think about asking yourself this. Think about, what can I add to my diet instead of taking it away? And how can I give my body the nourishment that it needs in a way that feels fun to me? And those are 2 questions that you can ask yourself, all right? So what I'm going to do is I want you to know that if you have found value in this 3-day challenge, day 1, day 2, and now today in day 3, this is really just the tip of the iceberg, because we talk about so much more regarding metabolism. We break down the 3 big macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, how they work together, how they work in your body, and give you tangible things that you can do to help address your health and achieve optimal nutrition so that your body is less afraid, feels more safe, and can start to release that weight in a very healthy weight over time, right? No more yo-yo dieting, right? And we do that all inside our 6-week online course coming up called Nail It with Nutrition. And this starts the week of February 7th. Here's what I'm going to do, you guys, because I know that this information in here is going to change your life. We ran a beta class in late 2020 with this material, and the outcomes were like amazing. Like, people love this. Normally I'm offering a course that's really focused on more mindset, maybe supporting emotional eating, supporting intuitiveness, mindful eating concepts. And those are super important. Those are really important because it's not just the food we eat, it's how we think and we feel about food. But it is about nutrition. I'm a dietitian and I have a science-based background. So for me to create this course for you is super, super fun. So if you have found the 3-day challenge to be fun and exciting and you want to learn more, Nail It with Nutrition is the place for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop in the comments after we get off. I'm going to drop the sales link to that. And then I'm also going to drop a code for you guys to, save a little bit on the course as a thank you for being here with me these last 3 days. I so greatly appreciate it. One thing that I do want to mention before we go, for the first time ever, and probably will never be back, because if anybody knows me or has worked with me one-on-one, something that I really don't offer together is the one-on-one coaching support and a course. However, for this round only, we are offering a way for you to work one-on-one with a registered dietitian. In addition to the course, there is a bundle option. So you're gonna wanna take a look at that. And the reason why we did this is because I'm really on a mission in 2022 to help as many people as I humanly possibly can take back control of their health. I have seen so many things happen this past year. My family personally has come down with COVID. My husband suffered some long-term effects of it. I had it, my son had it. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I lost my virtual assistant to COVID. She was on a vent for some time, Katie, Lord rest in peace. And that was one of the reasons why I just really want to provide reputable information on nutrition, because there's just so much information out there that it's false and it's really detrimental to our health. And if there is ever a time for us to really get it right, it's right now. Because when we crush our metabolism, we're crushing our immunity. So you guys, I really want you to take a look at this information, this course. I know it's going to create so much impact for you. We're going to be here to support you. We're going to be here to support your lifestyle, your routine, your life through this, and bundling that in, opting in to working with a dietitian in those 3 coaching calls is going to give you that one-on-one touch point to get you to understand how this information directly applies to you and what is going on with you right now. All right, so I encourage you to take a look at that. This opportunity will not be back after this. Okay, so let's check out some of the comments. Let me answer some questions for you. So let me go back in here. I think we have some right at the very beginning. Let's see. Hi, Tracy. How are you? She says yes to windows. Yes, windows do help you see clearly. And blood sugar regulation will help you see clearly, because if you have blurred vision, your blood sugar may be low. Okay, so that is very accurate. All right. Hey, Lauren. How are you? Donna, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says dinner is eggs with sauteed veggies and a piece of toast. What time is dinner? Because you better watch. We're going to show up at your door, Elizabeth. Lindsay, how are you? Lauren says she always has eggs with whole wheat bread, but she needs to start eating breakfast first. Health is number one. You bet it is. You bet it is. Lindsay says, I've definitely been guilty of under eating without realizing the importance? Yes, you are so welcome, girlfriend. Any other questions that you do have, it doesn't matter if it is pertaining particularly to this video or if it's just about something else that we've discussed, if it's coming up for you, drop them in the comments. I am absolutely happy to help you in any way that I can. I am super excited about Nail It. I hope to see you guys inside the course and hope to be able to provide more impact to your life. Thank you for joining us here, and I will talk to you very soon.